Hey everybody, Alex Kazora, SteelersDepot.com, back with some Pittsburgh Steelers news and analysis fresh off the Steelers' third preseason win and as many games beating the Detroit Lions 26-20 Saturday night at Heinz Field, the only home game for the Steelers this preseason. Let's talk about what happened in this one. Overall, really good showing from the starters in this one, both offense and defense. The backups and second string guys kind of faded in the second half. That makes this one look closer than it actually really was. Steelers racing out to what I think a 20 nothing or 23 nothing lead before Detroit got a couple of touchdowns late. So the starters played in this one. Everyone who was healthy were able to go. Only ones who didn't were guys like Chase Claypool with that ankle, Benny Snell, a weird late inactive, and then obviously no TJ Watt and Stephon Tuitt. So the starters are the guys we're most concerned with right here, and they were really impressive. Obviously, you start with Ben, and he looked sharp, a little vintage Ben with a pump fake, the scramble, even though it was dropped by Ebron. That was a 2005 type play from Ben, and the talk of the game and the day is going to be Pat Fryermuth with his two touchdowns on two catches over his head, and we talked about him all camp and. The numbers told that story, and you didn't have to have the numbers to know it. You just had to watch it. This guy catches literally everything. You throw the ball near number 88, and he's going to make the grab. And so he's got really good body control, tracking, and just a solid pair of hands. And he's been doing that all of camp. And so that's not a surprise to the people like myself who have watched him, but still good to see that translate. And certainly could be that red zone, third down kind of weapon for the Steelers this year, but also hopefully long term as well. So a really good showing from Fryermuth and just simply showing why the Steelers drafted him. Naji Harris, impressive as well. The 46-yard reception he had. That's all Yak. That's all on him. Great job in the open field, running away from guys. Power, agility. That's a guy that'll be a weapon almost as much in the pass game as he obviously will be in the run game. And someone who should have probably 250 carries and 50 plus receptions this year. And so to get those big plays in the pass game too, really valuable. Deontay Johnson, another big play downfield, 43, I think, 43-yard catch, I want to say, this week, and had a big one last week as well versus Philadelphia. So you're seeing him get vertical. Juju Smith-Schuster, just a tough guy to tackle. There's so many tough guys for defenses to try to tackle in open grass on the Steelers team, whether that's Juju or Claypool or James Washington, Eric Ebron, now Pat Fryermuth. If you're a DB, man, it's got to be tough trying to get those guys in the flat, out in open space and things like that. Receivers were definitely breaking tackles in this one, and didn't have Claypool, active or playing in this game. So a lot of skill, a wide skill set, obviously for the Steelers, but some unusual body types that'll be tough for some of these defenses to bring down. Not to mention Najee Harris, another guy as well to tackle. Offensive line, it's always tough to judge the O line. First time through, they look decent enough. A core form, maybe a little shaky, but I said that last week and went to the tape again and had a different opinion. Dotson looked good. Pulling Kendrick Green definitely showed some finish. Just overall, the intensity, the energy, the competitiveness, the finish from this group, I thought was really strong overall. Kendrick Green definitely has that attitude that Adrian Clem and Mike Tomlin, the Steelers, are looking for that'll endear himself. Well, he'll be your starting center. And so as a run blocker, I think he'll be good. Him in pass pro against power rushes will be, I think, the key factor in how good of a rookie season he has. Flipping over to the first team defense, and I think some of the stars in this one were guys like Alex Highsmith, Melvin Ingram, just bullying and overwhelmed and overmatched Detroit Lions offensive line. Both of those guys, run and pass, were impactful. Ingram probably a little more versus the run. Highsmith a little more versus the pass. Both guys were just whooping those Lions tackles and tight ends today, and that's obviously without TJ Watt even dressed in this one. So you're gonna have a really strong top three of Watt, of course, Highsmith and Ingram. Both guys are impressive, and both guys have looked really strong so far in camp and in the preseason. Less so to note in the secondary. Definitely some different combinations with some of the slot guys. Cam Sutton getting slot work. There were some injuries there. Arthur Black got hurt in this one early, unfortunately. I don't think Antoine Brooks played really at all, if any. Maybe on special teams. I don't think I saw him out there on defense. He was working his way back from a leg injury, so he was in practice this past week, but maybe not enough time for him to get going as a young guy, second year player overall. Terrell Edmonds had one good tackle for loss on the screen, one bad run. Filming Fitzpatrick, his tackling is really underrated. We talk about him as a playmaker, rightfully so, but him as an open field tackler, I think, is a really underrated part, an overlooked part of his game. So defensively, just a lot of pressure early. I think overall won the point of attack. Tyson Alualu getting the hands and throwing lanes, batting down passes. Cam Hayward playing with strength, getting pressure, walking guys back. All kind of standard, expected stuff there from that group. Less to note with the backups overall. Obviously, some of those guys didn't play extensive snaps tonight, especially the offense, for example, because they didn't have a lot of snaps. I don't think in the second half, and they played some starters, especially the part of the offensive line into the second half. Good to see Zach Banner out there back at right tackle. Just 2 series for him, but good to check that box and get him hopefully ready to go for week one. He should be. Rudolph I thought was fine. Haskins was just okay. Josh Dobbs didn't get to play, so that's not a surprise there. Kalen Blanche again showing power, pushing the pile forward, kind of things he's been doing all camp whenever he's been healthy, so no big shock there. Didn't get to see a whole lot from backup receivers in terms of playing wide receiver. Matthew Sexton, a big 46, 47-yard punt return, trying to push for that practice squad spot. I don't think he could beat out Ray at this point, but I think he can definitely try to sew up a practice squad spot with some return value and just a slot bursty kind of guy. He's versatile. He can play kind of different receiver spots as well. And then Anthony McFarland, it was the numbers don't look great overall, but yeah, you have to go back and kind of check the tape on that one. Still expecting McFarland to be the number 2 running back on this team. Defensively, Robert Spillane in the run game is really strong. Robert Spillane in the pass game, not nearly as strong. And that's why they brought in Joe Schobert, who played tonight. Don't have a whole lot of evaluation on him. He looked okay, I suppose, overall. Trey Norwood. I was impressed with Trey Norwood. Not only as an open field tackler, his run fill is making a big tackle on kick coverage and also some good blocks. I think on that Sexton punt return, he had one of the key blocks that helped give Sexton the edge. And so that's the guy that you want to see be more physical, do the detail, finer things. And I think he showed that more in this game than he has so far, really in camp and in the preseason. So good showing there from him. So yeah, I think that will wrap up my final thoughts on this one. Overall, a good showing. Does not appear to be any major injuries. Juju hurt his hand at some point. He seems to be okay. Looks very, very minor. He's not going to play against Carolina, so he's got 3 weeks or so to get ready. He should be good for week one. And yeah, just a good showing overall. Offense looked crisp. The starters overall just completely overwhelmed and won in almost every phase against Detroit. Clean up some penalties, and I didn't mention Eric Ebron, who had a couple plays of good in this game, a couple plays downfield, but the drop, a false start, that's not gonna do any favors in a game where Freiermuth looks so sharp. So I should mention Ebron because if I don't, I'll get probably hammered in the comments for it. But overall, happy with this performance. Happy to go 3-0, and the Steelers will play on Friday night, the 27th, against Carolina on the road to wrap up the preseason. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Appreciate you guys watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you soon.